Now,
on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
A very busy morning here on this Wednesday at 6:07 in your nation's capital. Thanks for tuning into O'Connor and Company. Coming up in 30 minutes, our friend syndicated columnist Cal Thomas on the current state of politics in America. 7:05, Stephen Gutkowski from The Reload about the revelation that Kamala Harris owns a Glock. Whether that squares with D.C. gun laws, actually. 7:35, Jerry Dunleavy, author of Kabul, will get his perspective on this Afghan man arrested for an alleged terror attack. 8:05, Joe Concha on the media. And then at 8:35, Richard Hunt, he's with Electronic Payments Coalition, about a move in the Senate to really undermine the credit cards you've got that give you airline miles and hotel points and cash back and all that stuff. Why are they messing with it? Why does the Senate mess with stuff when it's working? Everybody's happy with these things.
Yeah,
They don't want to mess it up. That's all coming up. I'm Larry O'Connor alongside Julie Gunlock. Good morning, Julie. All eyes have been on Florida for a while now. I mean, it's hurricane season. We're used to that. And after dealing with Helene and the aftermath, they are now faced with Milton. And the evacuation has been going on for a couple of days now as Milton at a Category 5 level is making its way slowly across the Gulf to the western coast of Florida. But late last night, it seemed to have taken a bit of a southern shift. Let's get the latest from Brian Vandegraff. He's the senior meteorologist over at our friends and partners, ABC7 WJLA. Good morning, Brian.
Hey, good morning. Yeah, less than just a little over 2 weeks from when Helene impacted that the west coast, eastern side of the Gulf, west coast of Florida. We're looking at another system coming in today, and this one's scary, guys. This has been a Category 5, second 5 of the season, one of the most intense storms that we've had since back in 2005, and it continues to barrel, albeit slowly, off to the east-northeast. And that latest track, I mean, anywhere from just to south of Clearwater all the way down to Port Charlotte. Those are the areas under the gun for the most direct impact. You know, when Helene came up the coast a little over 2 weeks ago, it was going due north. And the strongest side of the storm is on the east side. Granted, the storm was 100 miles out to sea, but it still caused quite a bit of damage. The key here is where this makes landfall, because originally it looked like it was coming right through Tampa Bay. You push all that water from Tampa Bay right up, inland. But if we get the storm a little further south, the opposite flow on the north side of the storm, that would actually pull some of the water out of Tampa Bay, which could be beneficial for Tampa, but not for those areas to the south. Bottom line is anywhere there in that central portion of the coast, they're hopefully all heeding the warnings, because this is a monster storm.
And I'm having deja vu from Katrina, because I remember so vividly when Katrina just sort of sat there on the Gulf. And I remember the satellite pictures. It almost was the size of the Gulf of Mexico. And it sort of paused and just gathered steam there. And this seems to, Milton has been so slow making its progress to the coast. And you just mentioned that it's now potentially as far south. It could even go as far south as the Barrier Islands, Naples, that got hit by Ian so hard 2 years ago, right?
Correct. And that's the other thing, is it's been slowly moving. It's been growing in, size, so it's getting bigger. So even if you're outside the center, the core, it's still going to have wide-reaching impacts. And you're right, because it is going to be such a massive storm. It's going to be felt all up and down the west coast. But where that landfall happens, that's where they could have the 7 to 13, 14-foot storm surge, where it just pushes all that water into those inlets and bringing all those low-lying areas just inundated. You've got winds right now, 155, 160 miles per hour sustained. There's tornado threats with the spin. There's just a lot of pieces. And even when this is over central Florida, it's still a hurricane. In fact, it looks like it emerges off the eastern coast, still staying a category, at least maybe one storm. So it will lose some steam, but it is still going to cause quite a bit of issues. And also think about the rain, anywhere from 8 to 12 inches of rain across portions of central Florida. Where does it all go? So, there's just multiple, threats that are happening here. And all you can do is just slowly moves, is just hope that people are heeding the warnings and getting to safety, because no matter where this finally makes landfall, this is going to be a devastating storm for sure.
The models I'm seeing, it looks like it crosses the entire state, again, impacting the eastern side of Florida, which again is very scary as well, because it will still probably be a Category 1 hurricane at that point. But do you expect it? I haven't seen any models showing that it veers sort of north and comes up towards Georgia and North Carolina and South Carolina. Are you Have you seen anything showing that, or does it go out to sea?
No, we're very confident that for all those people that are still reeling in the Carolinas and in eastern portions of Tennessee and extreme southwestern Virginia, this will not impact them. This nice weather that we're actually having here at home that's going to keep us all weekend. There's this big blocking ridge of high pressure that's been keeping us so nice that will keep all of this down to our south. So that is the one positive, that some of those other places outside of Florida that are still reeling are not impacted by Milton. So
well, and meanwhile, thankfully, we're not seeing any sort of devastating weather right now, but we are seeing a change in the weather. It certainly, at nighttime, is starting to feel like fall. I know this weekend is going to look a little warmer, but are you basically ready to proclaim that it really is officially fall now? Are we going to have a frost soon?
Yeah, it always happens. And then I switch out my clothes, and then it's an 80-degree day.
That's right. And then you're spritzing everywhere.
Spritzing everywhere.
The struggle that we go through. But, yeah, I mean, the air masses that we've been getting, definitely have been a little bit up and down as of late. But the air has been a lot drier when we lose a lot of humidity. And we have this really dry air. It can cool off quickly at night, but it can also warm up, nicely through the afternoon. So, yes, we have this little cooler snap. It's going to be even cooler tomorrow. Friday morning, we could have 30s for goodness sakes. But then, back to 80 Monday, Tuesday. But then the rest of next week, I've got low and middle 60s. So, I think you could pull out the pumpkin flavored item.
All right, well, that's good to know. Thank God we're actually dealing with things that are that petty compared to what our friends down south
No, exactly.
are
No, I don't want to discount that. But, yes,
100%.
we are very fortunate here.
In fact, it's been, in terms of rainfall, because it did look like we felt like we had a lot of rain for a while there, but where are we right now? I'm sorry for throwing this at you, but has this pretty much been a normal rainfall year for us, and our summer and fall is looking sort of typical, or has there been something extraordinary?
No. I mean, we really did make up. The last couple of weeks really did help us out. For the month, we're only down about 1/10 of an inch. But for the year, we're about on par. So honestly, we did make up some of that deficit. So some of those leftover tropical rains that have come through with some of the storms have helped kind of kick a little bit to the drought. Although my grass has been pretty brown most of the season, if that was a gauge, looking at the lawn. But we did do a little bit of a catch up here. So we're pretty much on par right now.
Brian, I have a homeowner strategy for that, because in the next couple of weeks, all the beautiful leaves are going to fall on your lawn and cover up the brown grass, and just leave that until it snows, and you'll be fine. It looks fantastic.
Yeah, you'll write a note to my HOA, right?
I hate those people. They're the worst. All right, Brian Vandergraaf, ABC7 WJLA. It's good to talk with you, and our prayers are with the people of Florida as they hunker down and get ready for this. And we'll talk to you next when there's a threat of snow, even if it's a quarter inch, because people will abandon their cars on the Beltway, and we're going to have a mess and a nightmare.
Panic will ensue.
That's
right.
Yes, Tim Kaine will get stuck, and we'll be fine. All right, thank you, Brian. Take care.
All right. Thanks.
It's 6:15 WMAL traffic and weather every 10 minutes. First on the 5s with Jamie Whitten in the Hadid Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center.
Don't leave your car.
For any other politician, this would be a career ender. This would end a campaign. But so we didn't have a primary process. We didn't have any caucuses.
This is all they got.
This is all you got.
Yep.
And so now 1 month before Election Day, she's finally sitting and giving interviews, and we're seeing why they took so long, why they waited until some states were doing early voting before you actually got to have her answer any questions. Bill Whitaker doing the questioning at 60 Minutes. Couple things to get to here, including incredible journalistic malpractice at the hands of 60 Minutes. But first, this little tidbit.
You recently surprised people when you said that you are a gun owner. And then if someone came into your house...
That was not the first time I've
would
talked
get
about
shot.
it. That's not the first time I've talked about it.
So what...
By the way, he says you surprised people. She says, well, it's not the first time I talked about it. And Bill Whitaker wants to say, yeah, but nobody believed you. We're shocked that you're actually doubling down and claiming this. Yeah.
What kind of gun do you own, and when and why did you get it?
I have a Glock, and I've had it for quite some time. And, look, Bill, my background is in law enforcement.
I hate when she says that.
I know.
She was
me
a DA.
too.
Law enforcement makes it sound like she was a cop.
There's no evidence she prosecuted anything personally.
Law enforcement, that's why she had a Glock. Well, here's the interesting thing, and we've got Stephen Gutowski, who's a firearms expert, gun law expert. His website, The Reload, is brilliant and very smart. He's going to join us at 7:05 on this, because in the state of California, most Glocks are forbidden. They're deemed unsafe guns. You're not allowed to have them. She supported that law. In her other place of residence in Washington, D.C., if you've got a handgun like that, you're supposed to register it. You're supposed to get permission for it.
It takes forever. It takes a lot of money.
So did she go through those steps, or is she an illegal gun owner? I think it's worth asking.
Yeah.
She also said that he said, "Have you fired it?" She says, "Of course I have." At the gun range. I want video of that.
Yeah, but she
I want
also,
a
don't
picture of
forget,
that.
said earlier in the month that you break into her house, you're getting shot. But she doesn't want me to be able to do that.
Right,
She
of course.
doesn't want me to protect
God,
my
no,
family.
you're going to jail.
She doesn't
Straight
want
to
you
jail
to
if
be
you do
able to
that.
protect Meredith and your family. No.
Then
Only her.
But then there was a question about her changing positions, and I want everyone's giving Bill Whitaker, kudos and praise for this interview.
Not anymore.
Let me tell you something. Bill Whitaker did ask her some serious questions and tough questions. I thought that was like the bare minimum.
It shows how damaged we are, like how mentally we are so scarred
Bill
that we're
Whitaker did
like,
a
oh my
great
God, he
job.
asks a tough question.
Right.
That's like you reach you're absolutely right.
Last I checked, when you're applying for a job on 60 Minutes, the first question is, okay, so are you willing to ask tough questions?
Yeah,
okay,
no.
good, you're in. I mean, that's sort of the bare minimum for the job requirement.
And we see from CBS, which is another story which we will
Yes,
get to, but I mean, you put your career on the line when you ask tough questions.
So here's Bill Whitaker getting praise for a question that
Let me tell you what your critics and the columnists say.
Okay.
They say,
first of all, it's attributed to critics and columnists,
not
which
me.
suggests it's an opinion, not a fact, right?
Right.
Okay, so he's already sort of deflecting the premise of this question.
the reason so many voters don't know you is that you have changed your position on so many things.
All right, so now that's false. People don't feel like we don't know her. We know who she is.
We know her.
We think she's a phony.
She's a phony.
That's
Yeah.
because she has changed her position on fundamental core
She's
principled
also
issues.
a liar. Like, she's just a liar.
Right. And the presumption is that she will do whatever she has to say or do
That's
and take
right.
whatever position to get your vote.
That's
So
right.
it's not people think they don't know you. No.
No.
And it's not what columnists and critics say. It's what everyday voters say. Okay. But anyway, go ahead, Bill Whitaker, you champion of journalism.
You were against fracking, now you're for it. You supported looser immigration policies, now you're tightening them up. You were for Medicare for all, now you're not. So many that people don't truly know what you believe or what you stand for. And I know you've heard that.
That's not a tough question. I'm not even going to let you listen to her lying answer. That's not a tough question, Julie.
Right.
The tough question is you were steadfast against fracking. Now you say you're not going to stop. Why should anyone believe you? And by the way, what changed? What's different
What
now?
convinced you?
4 years later,
Right.
suddenly you've done a 180. Same thing on this, same thing on the wall, same thing on that.
Yeah.
That's how you ask that
I also
question.
love the question. People don't feel like they know you. Well, maybe if you people would insist that she sit down with the media, but they never do. They never do. And then she gives one interview to Dana Bash, and I was like, okay, see, done.
So now I want you to listen to this because this is the journalistic malpractice here. All right, this is from 60 Minutes. We played this audio for you on Tuesday, I think it was.
Yeah,
this was her
yesterday.
word salad nonsense answer about Israel.
We supply Israel with billions of dollars in military aid. And yet Prime Minister Netanyahu seems to be charting his own course. The Biden-Harris administration has pressed him to agree to a ceasefire. He's resisted. You urged him not to go into Lebanon. He went in anyway. Does the U.S. have no sway over Prime Minister Netanyahu?
The work that we do diplomatically with the leadership of Israel is an ongoing pursuit around making clear our principles.
But it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
We are not going to stop pursuing what is necessary for the United States to be clear about where we stand on the need for this war to end.
All right, so now you heard the last part there. That's what aired on 60 Minutes, and I want to play it for you again. It starts with the question, it seems like Netanyahu is not listening, which is not a question.
But it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
We are not going to stop pursuing what is necessary for the United States to be clear about where we stand on the need.
That's what aired. But this was actually put out Sunday afternoon. This is how the question and answer really went.
But it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
Well, Bill, the work that we have done has resulted in a number of movements in that region by Israel that were very much prompted by or a result of many things, including our advocacy for what needs to happen in the region.
Now, that is a laughable joke of an imbecilic, word salad, nonsense, moronic
It means
answer.
nothing.
It was nothing, and it was stupid and made her look like a fool that didn't know what the hell she was talking about. But luckily, 60 Minutes to the rescue.
But it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
We're not going to stop pursuing what is necessary for the United States to be clear about where we stand on the need for this war to end.
Have you ever?
No. That is unbelievable. They are helping her out.
Any
They are
other
editing it.
media entity this would destroy their reputation.
He'll probably
forever.
get an award.
Yeah. Well, the Trump campaign, by the way, is demanding that the full transcript of the interview from 60 Minutes be released. Why wouldn't it? And by the way, the Kamala Harris campaign, Kamala Harris wants to be president of the United States. Don't you think Kamala Harris would say, absolutely release the entire transcript because I look brilliant here? In fact, release the entire unedited video. I want everyone to see the woman who's going to be the first female president. So I want you to see how great I am. And yet they don't want it out there either. Why not? Why not? Wow, CBS. I honestly, at this point, I thought CBS, I couldn't get any lower.
It's just a new low
after that
every
debate.
week.
624.
Now
On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
We're off and running on this busy Wednesday morning. Thanks for letting us ride shotgun with you as you get through your commute. At 7:05, Stephen Gutowski, founder and editor of The Reload, will give us the gun laws surrounding Kamala's possession of a Glock in California and D.C. 7:35, Jerry Dunleavy, author of Kabul, a first-hand account of the pullout in Afghanistan and how that might relate to the arrest of this Afghan national who came here after the pullout and now has been arrested for terror activities here in the States. 8:05, Joe Concha on the media and specifically Kamala's 60 Minutes debacle. And at 8:35, Richard Hunt, Electronic Payments Coalition. I'm Larry O'Connor with Julie Gunlock.
Good morning.
Good morning, Julie. And we got to check in with Cal Thomas, who, of course, is a D.C. regular who has, like so many, relocated to the state of California and state of Florida. And Cal, I know that Florida is sort of in warning mode right now as Hurricane Milton starts to bear down and crisscross across the state. But really, I'm told that you should be most angry about your governor, Ron DeSantis, refusing to take a call from Kamala Harris because, you can't get through a hurricane without the vice president checking in.
Well, I escaped Florida yesterday, Larry and Julie, and I'm here in Arlington now, so you can just feel the vibes, the presence, the love, and everything else.
I felt a ripple in the forest as I was driving in this morning.
Well, that was it. I hope it was as good for you as it was for me. But anyway, I think, DeSantis is always doing a good job on these storm issues. And he said, look, why should I be taking a call from her? She's not doing anything. She can't do anything. And I'm just really concerned about the politicization of these storms. I mean, they don't discriminate among the Republicans, Democrats, liberals, conservatives, men or women, black and white, Hispanic. I mean, they affect everybody. And I think this started with Katrina when the Democrats accused George W. Bush of not doing enough. But the fact is that Bush offered the National Guard to Louisiana, and the Democrat governor of Louisiana turned him down. And then all the Democrats blamed him. We need to get away from this kind of stuff. You got J.D. Vance with a column in today's Wall Street Journal blaming FEMA and everything. Helene was terrible, especially in North Carolina. A lot of volunteers have stepped up. You've got Red Cross, you got Samaritan's Purse, you got neighbor helping neighbor. I think that's a very good thing, and we need to take the politics out of this stuff.
What do you think the opinion of the American public is on her little tiff with DeSantis, who was really excellent in responding to Kamala Harris? I think, and we kind of discussed this yesterday, and Larry and I were saying she sort of seems like an obsessed ex-girlfriend, like she's going to boil a bunny at any minute. What is your opinion on the optics of that, of her kind of lashing out like that?
Well, I think while Joe Biden is an empty suit, Kamala Harris is an empty pantsuit. I mean, she hasn't done anything. She talks about all of these things that she's going to do as president. She's going to fix all the problems. Why would you turn over the power to somebody who has caused the problems, thinking they're going to fix the problems? I think it was a political stunt. Ron DeSantis has got high approval ratings for the way he handles these things in Florida. He's been way out in front on everything in terms of what you need to do. You need to get out. The mayor of Tampa has said, "Don't stay or you die." I mean, that's pretty direct. The roads are packed. I mean, I was at Miami Airport yesterday. Miami's only going to get tropical storm winds, 40 to 60 miles an hour is the forecast. But the airport was not empty, but it was the fewest people I've ever seen. Everybody was on the road trying to escape. Now, the big lesson of this, if you happen to have an electric car, is what are you going to do if you're stuck on I-95 or I-75, you're trying to escape, and your electric car runs out of juice? You're toast.
Cal Thomas is our guest syndicated columnist, and of course it is strange for her to pick a fight with Ron DeSantis because she's running against Donald Trump. And I'd love for you to sort of comment on the state of this race. Theoretically, 4 weeks from today, Cal, we might be talking about who the next president is going to be. And by every measure right now, it seems like the Trump camp is feeling pretty confident, and the Harris camp seems to be on its heels.
Yeah, it always boils down to one thing, Larry and Julie, and that is the number of dead voters. So, you know, it's turnout.
You're not joking, are you? That real? I mean,
no,
honestly,
I'm not.
Yeah.
No, it's I think if you're going to tax the state after you die, you ought to be able to at least vote one more time absentee. It's the ultimate absentee ballot, I think.
Isn't Cal? We can actually. You have a better signal when you're in Belfast than when you're right across the Potomac from us. You just dropped.
Those Russians are just annoying. They really are. So it all depends on turnout. But you're right, I think the trends are shifting in Trump's direction.
All right. We're sadly it's unlistenable now. Isn't that hilarious? I'm sorry, Cal. We're gonna have to pick it up next week. I'm not sure what happened there. But it's true. Cal's a world traveler. We've spoken to him this year in Ireland, in Italy, in Spain, and, of course, regularly on Florida. Here he is literally like 3 miles from the studio, and we get problems with this.
I'm just glad he's not underwater. It kind of sounded that way.
Down in Florida, that's true. But what I was making out was this is going to all depend on turnout and absentee ballots and all of the various potential shenanigans that happens with voter integrity when those ballots are counted after election night in certain jurisdictions. But hopefully it won't even be that close. It's 6:43 and
Making sense of your world.
I agree with you 100%.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL.